All right, well, there seems to be no shortage of projects here at the Nest, but this one is something that's been on my list for a long time, but I couldn't find the right solution, and now we found it. I have this large bay window in my dining room and 4 feet of space between the wall and the table, and I thought it'd be nice to add a little extra seating and a cool feature, and we finally found it. We found an old church pew being sold in a town nearby for about $100. It needs a little bit of work, so I'm going to take you downstairs to our basement. It's a little darker down there, but you'll get to see what we're working on. Sanding it down, making it more secure, putting it together and painting it and bringing it back upstairs. All right, for those of you who haven't met him, this is Mr. Life at the Nest, my husband Andrew. You might have seen him on Pizza Night with Drew.
Yes.
Say
that
hi.
was eventful. Howdy.
That was eventful. Okay, so I always have all these ideas and then I ask my husband to help carry them out, and here we are with my latest idea. I want a big church pew in front of the bay window in the dining room, and you bought a big church pew.
I did.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you found it and what we have and what we have to do to make it ready to go in the dining room.
Okay, so we knew we needed a church pew, and I'm totally a fan. I love the idea, and I wanted to get something old that has some character. And so I was on Facebook Marketplace, and up in, oh gosh, Wyomissing, there's an old church, about a 150-year-old church that just sold, and they had all these pews, and they're white oak. They're from the area. They were manufactured and milled right here in Reading.
Cool.
It's not perfect, but
That's
for $100, I love the patina. I love the weight, the thickness. I think it's well made. It does need some work.
Okay, so we love the size of this bench because it fits in our bay window area. We love how sturdy it is, and I like that it has a little bit of detail on it. But there's a detail here that I wanted you to tell me a little bit about because I didn't recognize that right away.
Cool. So yeah, I was excited to learn that when I went to pick these up, the gal had these other wrought iron pieces just sitting there, and she threw them in for free. And look at this. It's a candle holder that attaches to the pew. It snaps right into this little notch here. And
Ooh, stretch.
there you go. There's a solid brass escutcheon, I think they call that will fit right there. And I think it's going to be cool as heck.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yep.
So I don't know if we can burn candles on the top of those per se,
Well, maybe not.
but
But
we're gonna put them on
I'm
anyway.
going to put them on anyway because I think they're cool.
Yeah.
So when they were storing these units here, these guys they were all torqued. Anyhow, so I had to completely rebuild these. Each piece had to come off. One was actually split right down the middle, and I had to completely, this was not the split one. I think the other one was, but anyway, the other one was split all the way down the middle, and I had to glue it back together and fill in all the old nail holes and screw holes, remove all the old flat head screws.
Oof.
And then I re-drilled and glued everything, and then filled in with the plastic wood, the putty,
Just to make them sturdy and
to
stable
make them
again.
sturdy again.
All right, so here we are on the back of the bench, and I see you've already started with putting some putty, filling in some of the holes in the back. And tell me about the decision we made here on the rail, because we're not going to use the kneeling rail.
You know, this piece right here is, I guess, the kneeling bench that flips in and out, and so I don't really need this to be a part. It's not structural, and it won't be a part of what we do upstairs.
Sure.
So I'm just going to remove it entirely.
Okay, and that was just screwed in or bolted
Now,
in?
actually, it fits this little pin right here on either side.
Okay.
And just slips right over there, and that way it flips in and out. You can roll it up out of the way.
Sure.
When not in use. And so yeah, across the whole back here, there were brackets and fittings and hardware for hymnals and Bibles and
Sure.
pencils and all that good stuff.
Sure.
And so I removed everything and smoothed it on over.
Okay.
And then I went ahead and I put some deck screws all the way across the back, about 8 of them or 10 of them or whatever, directly into the base,
Okay.
just to shore things up a little bit
Okay.
more.
And that's
And-
attached to the bench base.
Underneath.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
Gotcha.
underneath.
Gotcha.
And so I think the next move here is to shore up these center stiles with a brace in the middle, secure them underneath, and then just finish sanding, and we can probably put our first coat of paint on.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think
Me
it'll be neat.
Me too. I can't wait. All right, so we've painted a lot of furniture in our household. It's nice to have furniture that's sanded down and stained, but I actually like the look of painted furniture. But one of the challenges when you have furniture like this, especially this golden oak kind of stuff, is that this finish isn't great to take paint. So we will have to sand this down. I like to make sure that we sand the finish off, but not all the character and all the dents and wear and just the evidence of 100 years of use, we don't want to have taken out of here. So we're going to sand it enough to get the finish off and not so much that we take away the character.
Exactly. It's going to maintain its character. That's right.
Yeah. All right, what are we working on here?
All right, so here's an example of, that's filthy. Anyhow, see how I filled this in? This was a spot, a little divot, right? Where a fastener was used, typically a slotted screw like this one, to go directly into flooring, I imagine. Anyhow, we're not gonna do that. This is gonna probably sit on thick felt so that we can slide it and not, you know, scratch the flooring upstairs. And so I smoothed this over with some of this stuff. This is a great product, plastic wood. It's sandable, it's paintable. And then here's just a remaining piece of hardware that needs to come out. So, and slotted screws. I mean, who likes slotted screws?
Not me.
So this obviously had some purpose. Somebody thought at some point that this bottom plate needed to be secured.
Right.
So there's a reason why this is in here. It's just that I can't stand this particular fastener.
Screws.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here with some little bit of this, and I'm gonna fill that in, and I'm probably gonna drill it out and put another one adjacent to that into this bottom plate, or maybe even come up from underneath, which is probably even better to fasten that.
Okay.
There's a bit of a crack there, and schmutz that up. This material is good stuff, but it's not always the easiest to work with.
So unlike wood putty, this doesn't have wood shavings in it. This is a plastic material that is sandable.
Exactly. Sandable and paintable. And it cures like really quick. Like within, actually that's, sometimes less is more, right? So we're gonna go ahead and just leave that.
Okay.
And if I need to come back and touch it up after, it'll be easier once it cures. So if you get it close, there's an example. We're gonna leave it just like that.
Okay.
Because we're painting it, you know, we can do this. We can pre-drill, and I'll fill these in, and then once it's painted, you'll never even see it. And this is, you know, obviously a permanent fix. So these are 4-inch screws, 4 of them, and I wanna put some glue on these as well. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna pull these screws out, pull them out. I've made reference lines vertically and horizontally. I'm gonna glue it up, and I'm gonna fire these screws back in there, and it'll be done, it'll be permanent. Same thing on this one. And I even used my square here just to make sure, you know, we're true to the bench.
Okay.
Yeah?
All right.
So here we go. Oh boy. So unfortunately, as you know, it sometimes happens, this is oak. This is white oak. It's a 150-year-old white oak.
Okay.
And we snapped off 2 of these deck screws. These are, you know, number 10, 4-inch deck screws. Supposedly pretty hardy. Well, not hardy enough. They snapped off in these 2 holes. So I have to shift, and I'm going to shift inbound, you know. And so I've lined this back up again. We're going to re-drill. So now we're going to countersink these. So thankfully, you know, putty and paint makes a carpenter what he ain't, right? So we're going to these are new. These are the old ones that are snapped off. So we're going to replace with these. All right. So now, before we finish this off, now I can pull this out glue it, put it back, and hopefully have a finished product. Ethan, will you lift that up just a moment and I'll position it just a bit? Yeah. And I'm gonna get this right about there. Good? Yeah, I think so. Yep, and we'll fine tune it from here. Now, Ethan, can you line up my... I think I need to bring this over a little bit.
I think that looks very good.
We're gone?
That's on.
You're happy?
Yep.
So, this will be the tell. It'll probably pull itself in if we're close. Perfect. Ethan,
For the audience.
Oh,
will you please
have to perform my
vertical
Very.
assist?
very important 2-inch lift.
Okay, bring it down. Okay. So now,
Couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you. Oh yeah. That back needs to go way that way.
try it now. All right, so let's try this first. We'll work our way forward.
Now, putty.
Yep.
So the key to good puttying is to know when to stop and move to the next hole.
Yeah, less is more. Where did I learn that? In my years of experience. Had nothing to do with my wife. Nothing at all.
Nope, nothing.
All right. So we'll come back and we'll fill this in and sand it down.
One of the benefits of painted furniture is that you have the opportunity to come along and take pieces like this cap piece off, glue it back together, put it in, and you can hide all of your repairs with your hardware by using some putty. So you'll see a lot of spaces here along the bench. There's the holes that you saw us drill into the base. So long as you go ahead and countersink everything and you can fill that in with putty, give it plenty of time to cure and dry before you sand it off and then come along and put your paint on it. But even this edge along the edge of the pew, we filled in with some putty. There was a gap there that was a little larger than we wanted. We figured that would be full of cracker crumbs. So we went ahead and filled it in. Everywhere that we took hardware out, we filled in with putty and then went through the painstaking process of going over it with some sandpaper and getting everything smooth and ready for paint. Cleaned up and ready for paint, you can see here we left all the dings and nicks and scratches that 100 years of wear have shown on the bench, and we decided to use a satin finish on the paint, allowing it to have a wipeable surface but not something that was so shiny that it would be reflective. I really like the look of dark painted furniture if you have a light colored room, and we have light pouring into this room every afternoon and evening, so we feel like it's really going to fit in quite well with the otherwise bright light room. So as we finish up this painting project, I just want to say thanks for joining us. This is a fun project for us. We do a lot of projects like this around here, and we'd like to share more of these with you. I'd like to encourage you to give it a try. Go find some furniture that you want to repurpose, and sometimes just a light coat of paint gives it a whole new life.